The crystalline spires of Zephyria Prime pierce through the violet atmosphere like frozen lightning, their surfaces pulsing with bioluminescent veins that channeled the planet's electromagnetic life force. Maya stood at the observation deck of the Royal Citadel, her iridescent skin shifting between shades of deep azure and silver as her neural implants processed the incoming data streams from across the galaxy. She was no ordinary queen, she was a Nexus-born. Her consciousness interwoven with the quantum network that governed 17 star systems, but today, her attention fixated on a single anomaly. "Your Radiance," the advisor's voice crackled through her cranial communicator. "The human specimen has arrived." Maya's pupils dilated, the concentric rings within her eyes spinning counterclockwise. Humans, the galaxy's most peculiar paradox. Technologically primitive, biologically fragile, yet possessing something the advanced civilizations had lost millennia ago, an inexplicable capacity for sacrifice that defied logical programming. Burak materialized on the transportation platform in a shimmer of quantum particles, his form solidifying from the subatomic level upward. He stumbled slightly, his human physiology struggling to adjust to Zephyria's higher gravitational constant and the exotic matter composition of the atmosphere. His dark hair was matted with something that made Maya's sensors recoil. Blood. Human blood, the reports had been accurate. This specimen had volunteered. "Bring him to the extraction chamber," Maya commanded, her voice harmonizing in multiple frequencies that human ears couldn't fully comprehend. Burak's journey to this moment had begun 6 stellar cycles ago when the harvesters arrived at Earth. The massive biomechanical entities didn't communicate through language or signals, they simply descended upon planets and extracted what they needed. For Earth, they needed blood. Not just any blood, but the blood of those who gave it willingly, surrendering it for others. The Earth governments had convened in unprecedented unity. The harvesters' technology could cure diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries, could extend lifespans, could terraform Mars and Venus, but the price was steep. They needed 10,000 volunteers to bleed continuously for the royal families of the Andromeda Coalition. Burak had been among the first to step forward. The extraction chamber resembled a cathedral constructed from living metal and crystallized thought forms. Tubes of transparent biomaterial snaked across the ceiling, pulsing with fluids of colors that had no names in human languages. Maya descended from her levitation platform, her 7-foot frame moving with predatory grace. "You understand what you've agreed to?" she asked, switching to vocalized speech for his benefit. Burak nodded, his jaw set with determination that Maya found both admirable and incomprehensible. "I read the terms. My blood will sustain your people. In exchange, Earth receives technology that will save millions." "Billions," Maya corrected. "But you will suffer. The extraction process is not designed for human neural tolerance." "I know." Maya circled him, her advanced olfactory sensors analyzing his biochemistry. His blood was indeed remarkable. The genetic markers indicated a rare universal compatibility, enhanced by Earth's unique evolutionary pressure cooker of disease and adaptation. But it was more than that. Her empathic receptors detected something the scientists had missed. This human wanted to bleed. Why? The question escaped her before her logical processors could suppress it. Burak met her gaze, and for a moment the gulf between their species seemed to narrow. "My sister. She had leukemia. We couldn't afford the treatment. I watched her die slowly, her body consuming itself. If my blood can prevent that suffering for others, human or otherwise, then the pain is worth it." Maya's neural network flickered with an emotion her species had algorithmically removed 8,000 years ago: grief. The Nexus-born didn't grieve. They calculated, optimized, and progressed. Yet this human, this fragile collection of carbon and water, carried an ocean of sorrow and had transmuted it into purpose. The extraction began. Burak's screams echoed through the chamber as the nano-extractors penetrated his circulatory system, mapping every capillary, every vessel. The process was designed for Zephyrian physiology beings whose pain receptors had been genetically muted. For a human, it was agony on a molecular level, but he didn't ask them to stop. Maya watched the monitors as his blood filled the collection matrices, each droplet analyzed and catalogued. The data was extraordinary. His blood cells carried not just oxygen and nutrients, but somehow impossibly encoded information memories of suffering transformed into healing potential. The quantum properties were unlike anything in the galactic databases. Hours passed. Then days. Burek's body withered as the extraction continued, his skin growing pale, his heartbeat irregular. The machines compensated, infusing him with synthetic nutrients and stimulants, keeping him on the knife's edge between life and death. On the 7th day, Maya made a decision that would have been incomprehensible to her predecessors. "Stop the extraction," she commanded. The medical drones froze mid-procedure. "Your Radiance, the quota is not yet met," I said. "Stop." She approached Burek's suspended form, his body held in a stasis field, barely conscious. His eyes found hers, and she saw no hatred there, no regret. Only quiet acceptance. "You've given enough," Maya whispered. Deactivating her translator so only she could understand her own words, she placed her hand on his chest, feeling the erratic rhythm of his human heart. Through her neural link, she accessed the Royal Archives and input a command that would trigger investigations, possibly her own removal from power. She claimed him, not as a resource, but as a person, the quantum signature transferred, marking Burek as royal property, which under Zephyrian law meant he was now under her direct protection, immune to further exploitation. The bureaucracy would be furious. The other royals would demand explanations. The harvesters would consider the contract partially unfulfilled, but as Maya watched the color slowly return to Burek's face, as the healing protocols she'd initiated began repairing the damage, she accessed a fragment of ancient Zephyrian code. From before they'd optimized themselves into emotionless efficiency. It was a word: compassion. "You taught us something we'd forgotten," she told him as his eyes fluttered open. "That true strength isn't in what you can take, but in what you're willing to give." Burek smiled weakly. "Does this mean I can go home?" "No," Maya said, and for the first time in her 3-century existence, she felt her facial musculature form an expression her species had deemed obsolete. A smile. "It means you have a new home. And a queen who owes you an impossible debt." Outside the citadel, the stars wheeled in their eternal dance, and somewhere in the vast dark between them, humanity's sacrifice had planted a seed that would grow into something the galaxy had never seen: a bridge between logic and love, built from blood and stardust. The end.